Good morning. All right. So, yes, the question from yesterday's pre-market is, did you avoid yesterday's blender? Yesterday's title was the frog in the blender pattern. And that's exactly what happened throughout the day yesterday as the markets tried to move up, move down, and it stayed within its ranges that we went over. And now we've got some relatively clear lines in the sand here. And so we've got this low, not a swing low, but at least we got higher lows. And we got that bar there, which we don't have a lower high to the left of it. Nonetheless, I believe that if prices were to take that out, it would take out that bar there quite easily. So now we've got this range to stay within or not. But those are the lines that if it can get above that, well, then I believe that prices would then try and push up to those prior highs. And down below here, well, I'm not so sure this is going to hold since now it's chopping around here for a little while. And so we're still within that range as we look at the spiders here. For those looking at the S&P, you can see it's pretty much the same thing, and you can associate that to those numbers if that's what you want to use. But we've got those reference points there, and things are getting a little tighter. And ideally, it doesn't last that long. We'll see. And even the weekly chart, which is still developing, it's Wednesday morning, but so far we've got an inside day on the weekly chart. And so prices are consolidating. Buyers and sellers are kind of trying to figure out here, based on the weekly chart and pull back to support, is this turn actually going to happen? And so are we. Ideally, as I've mentioned, I would love for this to come down here because things would line up quite nicely. And looking at the weekly chart, taking out last week's low would be ideal. And then, of course, we need to see the reversal, which could be next week, or maybe by Friday, this turns into a bottoming tail bar, which would be great. So we'll see. I mean, the hourly chart, then you'd have this, sideways chop and a spike down and a move up. And, those kind of fake out moves, I love them because the fake outs happened already versus, getting in. And sometimes we're part of the fake out. Sometimes it's unavoidable. But, that's part of trading. So right now, from this point of view of this daily chart, the message is just stay away until things clean up here. We get a move one way or the other. And in reality, this isn't even any kind of a real swing setup here because it's basically in limbo. It's in the middle of nowhere. So, again, we'll just see how this unfolds. Diamond's been a little bit stronger, but still within its respective range. The same bars, just flip-flopping back and forth, and recognizing that things are directionless for the most part, and what's going on intraday is only that. Hopes to avoid being part of the chop and, the frog in the blender pattern and that kind of erratic kind of price movement. So if you're nimble, we talked about that yesterday as an intraday trader. Of course, you can do that. It's going to be small gains or losses, but, primarily it's, look for better opportunities. And we can see a lot of things that are kind of moving here, some things bigger than others. So we'll be taking a look at those in the room. Dan will look at some of them when he does the review. And now we're just checking out the markets. Qs, pretty much the same story. That's kind of interesting, looking at the Qs versus the futures being a 24-hour chart where we have more complete bars because they're trading, in those overnight hours. So we'll take a look at that. But, gap above, just looking at this chart, gapping above the high of a red bar, it did suggest a move to close that gap, and it couldn't do that. So that's a sign of weakness. And because that's pretty bullish, just gapping above the high of a red bar like that, and then just wind up being a narrow body and a relatively narrow range. And the same story on the weekly. Inside bar on the weekly chart at support going nowhere. This morning, a little bit of weakness. So far holding the support, but below this low, we got to think short. Now, when we think short, because the next part of the process is, well, short to where? And ideally that there's a void. And this really doesn't have one before it hits the next level. So we don't have that. And ultimately, it's got to get through this 178 that opens up the door, probably to a move right down to the 200 MA. We'll just see how that unfolds. I can go to a higher time frame here just to get an intraday point of view. You can see, the head and shoulders top as we look at this from this perspective, and the concept of the idea of a void. Once it breaks this low, it just opens up the door to coming all the way down here. So mark your lines in the sand, set alerts, and, be aware. Let the computer watch. That's what we do. Russell is flip-flopping around here. Same story. Just noise, gaps, tails, uncertainty, and just that uncertainty. That's the word of what this picture here is displaying. When you look at a chart and you'll say, well, is that a buy setup? Is that a sell setup? This is a setup that's like, I don't know what the hell's going on here. Gap up, come back down, gap down, go back up, so it's just kind of crazy price action. Same inside bar here. The question is, do we want to go for a stroll during the fight? No, George, this is our profession. And so we sit here and we absorb the information as intraday traders and swing traders, but we're watching intraday. And that helps us to, get a feel for things in a sense. And we see little nuances that happen. So the thing to do is to recognize that there's this battle going on. And from a battle point of view, there are casualties and dead bodies laying all over the place here on the field. And we don't want to be one of those bodies. We don't want to be the frog in the blender here that's generating commissions. And one of those days that if you're doing this long enough, you'll experience that it's like, what the hell happened here? Nothing much really did happen, yet I lost a shitload of money, or I generated so many commissions. So recognizing that there is, I like to use the word void when we talk about a chart that's set up that can have a substantial move. But here there is, in this kind of a chart setup here, there's a void of opportunity. Right now, as an intraday trader, we're looking at the Russell here. If it can clear these highs, well, that opens up the door to, an opportunity for an intraday trader. So recognize what we are dealing with here. And then from your trading plan, are you an intraday trader? Are you a swing trader? Well, if you're looking for swing trades, well, you got to find those opportunities on the daily charts and trade those accordingly. But recognizing what is just a mess of uncertainty, you stay away. So let's take a look at where the futures are at here. And inside day, so far inside day, and things are getting tighter. So as the springs being wound, as these lows get higher and the highs get lower, this is compressing where the battle is going on. And, whereas, the sellers and the buyers were far apart, now they're in front of each other's face. And so who's going to win? Which way is it going to go? Is it going to be a fake move and so on? It's a very difficult thing to do to determine what's happening here with a chart like this. So why should we try? Let's just wait or look for something else that is clearer to us, and see how this thing unfolds. We've got our lines in the sand, as I explained. And here are the markings from yesterday when we talked about the frog and the blender pattern. And I was like, well, can it get down? Can they, from yesterday, could they come down here? There was this resistance. Could it clear that resistance? And it tried, and it tried, and it tried, and it couldn't. And so now it's pulling back a little bit, but it's still just in the middle of nowhere, which is what you see on the daily chart. And the same story on the weekly chart. And Qs, same story. We talked about the overlapping opens and closes yesterday as a reference point, and this higher point there, well, it couldn't even get through here and just chopped around. And now it's toward the bottom of the range. And what we'll be doing here at the open is waiting to see, can they rally it from here? Now they've got this resistance overhead to deal with. Can they get through it? Well, if they can, right, that should be able to get through here. This has been tested once yesterday. So one of the concepts from our technical analysis courses, whether it's the swing course or the MTS, is to understand this price action through supply and demand. So coming up to here yesterday, it did a partial job of absorbing the supply up here. So I can discount it a little bit. In other words, I don't look at it with as much respect today as I did yesterday, because yesterday was the first attack. Whereas if it can get through this today, well, that I think opens the door to coming up to a higher level, which isn't that significant, but it's relatively significant when we compare between these lows and this high, which is just, hey, same message, stay away. And Dow. Well, this looks like a little bit more of an opportunity as I look at this. As it's tried to get through here, if it starts to fail here, the Dow may be the one to consider as a short intraday scalp, as a move to test the bottom of this range down here. I don't know yet. We'll see. Wide range bar down, bottoming tail bar, staying in the lower half of the wide range bar. So similar to the Qs, if it can stay weak for a little while in the morning here, well, maybe some more selling comes in. But overall, nothing for the moment suggests some big move is at hand in either direction. Bonds, stalled here. So far holding up, 100% retracement or thereabouts and pulling back. A little buying coming in here this morning. So there's sellers up here, obviously, big topping tail. And they're coming in again. And now to see if this is coming back down. In other words, so here we've got a trading range. And so the question now is, can it chop sideways here, absorb this supply, and then break out higher? Or does it go back down to the bottom of the range? So one of the choices here is, well, do you want to short here with a stop above the highs? That would be okay. It's reasonable to take a position at prior resistance. There is a pattern, topping tails chopping around. It's not dropping here, but may make a lower high and then go down. So you just have to be patient with a pattern like this and give it time to develop. Gold, here's another kind of not what I would say jump in your face kind of opportunity, meaning great setup here, but it is at support and buyers are stepping up again. It came down rather hard. So here's the concept from the course of angle of retracement. It came straight down. And when they come straight down like this, they typically don't go straight up. They typically do what this did. It had a retest pattern, and then it went up. So now this is the third time here. It's third time a charm, maybe. So buying gold, or maybe look at GLD or GDX, buying it down here with a stop below the lows, maybe let it trade above prior bars high first for a little bit of confirmation here. Could be worth the consideration. And yesterday I mentioned this topping tail from last week. Is it going to ignore it or measured move to the downside? So from a scalping short-term point of view, considering a buy down here. Relatively small stop, but I don't like the angle that it came down at. Let's look at GDX. Kind of just flip-flopping around here. Not too active, but starting to build a base there. So, it's broken its uptrend, traded below this low here. So not the greatest of setups, but just trying to point out here that, prices coming down to an area of support and stabilizing does open up the door to retracements. And oil down a little bit here this morning. A lot of indecision, no matter where we look. That's the message. Indecision. Traders, investors, managers are just waiting for more information to decide where are we going here. Tony's asking me, Q's once over yesterday's resistance, will it go as a resistance prior to yesterday is not a strong one? But Tony, we have basic concepts, right? Meaning if it clears this resistance, the next we have again, we talk about our factory work analysis, meaning like it just is what it is. So if it clears this, the next question is, where's the next reference point? So these little pivot highs here, which are relatively small, should be, let's say, insignificant, and it should try and come up to here. So as it comes down to this level here, the thing is we watch this and see for clues that buyers are taking control. Now, what do those clues look like? They look like breakdown failures. They look like bottoming tail bars, and so on. So some type of pattern that says that as it dips down, there's strong enough demand there to push it back up again. And so semiconductors, they had their little bounce yesterday off of the 200. And this is where a lot of focus is as to, the G5 and who can do business with China, blah, blah, blah. And so this is down a whole bunch, and buyers have stepped up here. And it's pretty important, I guess, from a technical analysis point of view anyway, looking at these semis, that buyers continue to step up to the plate here in this area after this drop. So we're keeping an eye on that. And I'm just looking at a few other things here before I turn it over to Dan. Anything else that I want to look at? Retailing. Right. Oh, yeah. What was it? I saw Lowe's was getting shellacked here this morning. Down, tagged $100 down there. So that looks pretty bearish. And I'm just curious. Home Depot down a bit. I had that big gap reversal yesterday. So a lot of messy charts, a lot of them, but I like that bottom tail. Still got, 3 days of this week. Let's see if this closes with a bottoming tail bar, but that could be an opportunity next week. We shall see, as well as the markets and the weekly charts, how that unfolds. So there you have it. Don't be the frog. All yours, Dan.
Yep, sorry about that. Yep, sorry, thank you. All right, Roku here. We only have 2 opens. Roku in the weekly options trader, and look at a pre-market here, positive, relative strength in a weak market. So that's Roku and 5 we put on yesterday, and that's it in the weekly. We've been very light for all the reasons, Greg talked about. We entered this one yesterday, both as long stock with the intent to leg into a covered call. And it looks like it's slopping around here, but you know, maybe 15-minute low, we'll leg into a covered call on that. We also have put spread. PEG, we're long stock. We will look, we're right at break even right now, but we'll look to leg into a covered call also, like I did with the that other one. This one, ETR, we're long calls, so we're going to leg into a bull call debit spread and under yesterday's low. The old Mohawk, we have a covered call. EEFT, we're long stock. Nope, take that back. Bull put credit spread. DTE, we're long stock. We'll also be looking to leg into a covered call on that. KMB, we have a covered call, and it's actually a 1, 2, 3 right now. You can add over the highs. SPWR, long stock. We're in it for the long haul. ARQL, long stock, 50% retracement. It held. We moved the stop to Monday's low, the week's low. We're long stock. I moved the stop to Monday's low yesterday. X-ray, covered call. And it's, you know, we're making money if it just slops around sideways here because of the short call. November Sierra, it held that 50%, and that looks fine. I moved the stop to yesterday's low. And that's it. That's all the opens. AVP, yeah, I've been watching this one for a while because of the, you know, bullish weekly, monthly here. And now it's a gap breakout. Pat was saying it's a buyout. I think I saw some newsletter just saying it's in buyout talks. SSL, whatever the heck this is, it's getting whacked. 2670. Wow, that's a big ugly gap. And there's our Roku. Roku looks like a directional. AMBA 3750, that's a nasty, nasty big gap also. 3750, way the heck down here. Is near a deal looking. so it's not a done deal. LIQT 830, gap and it's an ugly gap. Postage 1670, another ugly gap. Wow. Yeah, John, we have put spread and long stock. C, where are you? I thought this was gapping up $5. VFC $86. That's a nasty gap. Let's say none of these are tier ones. 77s, gapping to, that's a big gap to resistance. Low 101.50, that's a nasty gap, but too excessive to want to short, in my opinion. ADI was gapping down here this morning. Now it looks like it's flat. Qualcomm, not earnings, but had an adverse decision. 69.70, gapping way down here. Another ugly gap, but not tier one. Urban had earnings 25.90. All right, this one I like because it's gapping right to 26. There is my best. That is my best looking short setup or any trade setup so far. Toll 36.43. That's gapping here, but just a lot of sloppy mess. Nordstrom earnings or lack thereof, 34. And oh, this one, this was on the, not the cover of Barron's, but it had a big article saying it was undervalued. Well, guess what? You're going to get a 10% sale. I'm putting that in a thumbnail. Just because the weekly is getting climactic. Yeah, we'll see. ARMK. Greg found this scanning yesterday. We'll keep an eye on it. I like the gap negated and building a base of support. On deck, this is a beautiful put candidate under Monday's low. If you can get it off. Cough had a nice little close here after 3 bars sideways. 5, I can't tell if that's really gapping or not, but I have it on the other computer. This one I posted in Telegram pre-market. If this one can take out the high, it looks great. Real estate sector's been doing great. Little reverse head and shoulders here. Left head, right head. I'm sorry, shoulder, shoulder, and here's your head here at the bottoming tail. Chud, still on my long watch list. These are just leftovers now, banned. We had a nice day trade yesterday. And trader, let me look at a list you sent me. This one's 28 stocks moving pre-market. All right, perfect. Let's go through them. VLRX, that sounds like a bio. 508, I don't like the way it trades. SE, had Q1 results, 30. I don't like the way it trades, but it's a bullish gap. You know, see if it sets up. AFMD had earnings, 299. That's a bearish gap though. ALGN, nothing. NE, nothing. PLAB, 907, it's a mess. ARRY is a bio, trade bios, except for a day trade. Eli, 1520, it's a mess, no pattern. See, so when newsletters just give you things that are moving without any analysis, it's like, that's useless to me. I mean, tell me which ones you like. All right, this one I like, actually, now that I'm bad-mouthing them. 109.56, it's a retest here, greater than 100% retracement. Climactic, that one I like. Put that one right here. PVH named Stefan Larsen as president. But yeah, I like that one. Check Trader McGraw, see if you can get a put spread on that. Cron, this one, yeah, we had a put spread candidate and it hit the stop first, and so I canceled it. But it's a watch. It's trying the bottom. Taka, that's a nasty gap. ONCS, I don't like the daily postage we talked about, nasty gap. OTLK, yeah, I mean, he's just writing here, oh, it fell 12% of pre-market trading. All right, I'll look at him later. I don't see anything that we found on our own. All right, PVH. Netflix is popping here too. All right, so Q's 5-minute chart here. Bulls stepped up. So this is a bullish pre-market consolidation now. Spiders, diamonds. Yeah, things are, wow. IWM is still within yesterday's range. PVH, yeah. Make sure there's no earnings and juice and all that. Yeah, I like the pattern though. Yeah, it's fairly tight spreads too. $10 wide is a, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I would do the $10 wide right here for $1. Yeah, I love the pattern. Greater than, it's a Climo. You can even day trade it, but although the pre-market is not clean. Glancing at our opens here. Wait, let's check Netflix. We can do a put spread on Netflix for Friday. Let me check 345s. That's holding. Come on, let there be juice. 345s. 42 by 47. If we went up 347s, nope, it's still not juicy enough. $5 wide is only 30 cents. But the pattern is adequate for a put spread. All right, looking at our opens. Everything looks fine.